In terms of the threshold, that is likely to result in a bit more efficiency and possibly also some more equity. On the tax rate side, it is possible that that could yield some growth dividends over time. Because when the rates are lower, then persons who are thinking, okay, I may set up a business or I want to enter the Jamaican economy and start operating, those requirements are now going to be far less what they have to now remit to the government vis-a-vis their employees. So it is possible that over time, the literature indicates reduction in taxes, income tax rates, could actually yield some results in terms of the competitiveness of the economy. And we know that a major kind of bugbear in Jamaica is real GDP growth. How fast can we grow? We have very ambitious targets. I mean, both sides, I'm sure people would agree, have very ambitious plans. But again, without the economic growth, i.e. we're producing more and more each year, possibly with the same resources, or we're getting better resources and still being able to produce more.
So
that's our goal.
You mean gross domestic product. We're not taking anything for granted.
No problem.
Everyone needs to understand and follow the conversation. And I do want you to explain what do you mean by that, by real GDP growth. But I do want to take another question. Sure. I see two persons with their hands up. The gentleman in the jacket and the gentleman beside him in the cream shirt. And Raymond will be getting the questions from both.
Okay, so we'll take the gentleman in the jacket first. Go ahead, what's your name?
My name is Rajay Bennett. And my concern is with this loss of revenue that comes with the decreased taxation or the changes in the income tax threshold. Where would the revenue be coming from, or what my concern is? Where is the what do we propose as a source of revenue to make up for that loss that we now incur when we raise the tax threshold or just remove taxes in general?
Back to the panel, Gio.
Dr. Clark.
Okay, so my understanding from the discussions around these proposals...
Can I premise something before you start speaking?
Certainly.
So I just want to say to our audience, remember, Dr. Clark is not the one running for office. And so this is her assessment of it, just to protect her right.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Okay, disclaimer.
Yes.
Yes,
so my understanding of the discussions are that, in essence, we are yielding some benefits from paying down the debt, right? So those savings over time, the government or the opposition, if it becomes government, intends to give that back to the population through either of the measures that they've proposed. So that's one thing. You also, as I indicated, you expect some efficiency gains from having fewer people on the tax system. And remember that this equates to real dollars in the pockets of persons. So we expect persons to either save more or spend more, and that should hopefully stimulate economic activity down the road. Or if the growth dividends, as I indicated for the income tax rate reduction, if that were to follow through, you would expect that persons would be able to maybe start new MSMEs, thereby hiring other persons, and you could get that growth effect through that channel. So that now would generate some resources.
Would then... Dr. Clark, I want you to complete that point, but my producer is in my ears for about a minute now. We do have to take the break here on Lead Story Prime. We are looking ahead to the debate on the...
Small business loan with small business loans with as little as $10,000 and up to $4 million.
The time is 8:30.
Getting the keys to your own home is a feeling many cannot describe. It's a moment we all hope for, and a dream that all Jamaicans have. The new social housing program is the difference between a dream and reality. The government, through the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, is building hope, one home at a time.
The following is a paid announcement by the Jamaica Labour Party.
The Jamaica Labour Party is doing more for your safety. Over the past 9 years, we've delivered the lowest murder rate in 30 years. We've strengthened our police force, and we've delivered landmark programs like the first government-run domestic violence shelters. The JLP is doing more for you, and you're not done yet. Proven results means peace of mind. Choose a safer Jamaica. Put your X beside the bell.
The proceeding was a paid announcement by the Jamaica Labour Party.
Every generation brings new hopes and ambitions. For 55 years, Sagicor has been helping Jamaicans to realize their dreams. As we celebrate our past, we look forward to continuing that legacy of trust, providing support and financial solutions for the next generation to succeed. Sagicor, building trust, one generation at a time.
Welcome back to Lead Story Prime here on CVM TV, a special edition as we look ahead to the second of 3 debates, the best of 3 at the CPTC, that's the Creative Production and Training Center in Kingston. We are looking at live images, or you were just looking at live images, and you're now seeing it again. They're doing the final checks, ensuring that all is in place, and we're standing by to go there in just about 27 minutes as we count down to that. But before that, though, my expert panelists here with me have been breaking down the numbers from the manifestos, matching manifestos, if you will, to see how the promises compare from both political parties. Dr. Clark, you were speaking about essentially, the government having debts, paying the debts off, and once they do that, now they have more money to give back to people from the taxes that they implemented to pay the debt in the first place.
Right.
And let me know if this example is okay.
Okay.
I'm trying to simplify for
No
our
problem.
audience. We have a household, we're paying rent for $100, car loan for $50, student loan for $50 per month.
Right.
We pay off student loan, so we're no longer using that $50, but we still have to pay the rent on one time, and we're still paying the car loan. But because we have that extra $50 now, we can buy an extra patty on one time. And the money that we're getting, like the $2,000, that's the 1.7 that Keenan spoke about, that's basically the patty money and the government giving back.
Right.
And after we pay off the car, we're going to have more money. That's essentially what they're saying.
In essence.
Okay.
You could also, of course, see if you can get somewhere cheaper to rent, right? That's another potential option. Equal space, but cheaper, as well as perhaps you'll pay off the car, sell the car, and there'll be a train or whatever it is that can get you from A to B.
I want to go to my audience, which you will in just a second, but you were speaking about real GDP growth and how this, the lowering of the threshold can lead to that.
Not the real GDP growth, the reduction in the income tax rates.
Right.
If it is that persons at the higher end, because that is where, I guess, the criticism of that approach is that persons at the higher end will benefit more from that proportionately for the lower income tax rates.
This is the 15%.
Yes, the 15, yes. No, the JLP's proposal is for, right. So what that could do is stimulate their intentions or interest in starting a small business and thereby employing other persons and creating goods or services that are in demand, maybe exportable, thereby generating additional revenue through their economic activity for the government that they can then use to fund other things. So on net, I mean, it may not be, I don't think it's likely that the bulk of either of the proposals is going to happen in any one fiscal year, maybe not even over the medium term, the 3-year horizon, because these are things that take time. It takes time to start the business, takes time to get your capital, even if, you're working with the DBJ, it's going to take some time, some formulation. So maybe that is where our questions will come from, what's the time frame that they're thinking about? Yes.
So you're basically saying to Jamaicans right now, whoever wins on September 3, do not expect at the end of September when they get a paycheck on the 25th for people who get money the 25th of the month, or for the government workers who get it like a week before. Don't expect the zero for 3.5 or below, or the 15.
No, I wouldn't expect it so quickly.
Raymond, in the audience again, what are our members wanting to hear from the debate tonight?
Okay, so we have another question. I'll just take your name and what you're expecting to hear from the economic debate tonight.
All right, so my name is Javon Downey, and what I'm really expecting to be answered is because on net, when you do the evaluations of both proposals, again, on net, it's roughly the same savings that are being proffered by both sides in the long run. But what I want to know is, especially because we operate in an economic that is very volatile, right? How sustainable is each policy for the long haul? Because what I realize is that most the plans from the PNP are more effective in the short term, but the plans for the JLP, they have more a long haul or a long future range. So on net, like how sustainable is each plan? Does the PNP plan crashes out in the long run, or does the JLP plan takes too long to come into effect, so people are generally disinterested? I want to hear that addressed, and I would love to hear also from the panelists what their take is.
Let's take another comment before we have a response. I said Dr. Dr. Clark writing that down to give a response. Let's take another comment from the audience.
We'll take one from the front row here.
Hey, hello everyone. My name is Shamar Bell. So, quick question: what would be the harm if the threshold moved from 1.7 to 3.5? Right. I want to know what would be the harm to the economy if it moved from 1.7 straight to 3.5.
As in immediately?
Yes.
Dr. Clark.
Well, as we're saying, I mean, these are choices that we as a country have to make, right? If we want to go it in one fell swoop, as we may think about it, then we will certainly have to be giving up something in that same fell swoop. Because as Keenan indicated, you are already looking towards a deficit, right? So you're simply going to be adding on to that. If it is, we're not changing anything else, like in Giovanni's example, if we're not going to find somewhere cheaper to rent, or we're not going to move in with family, so we don't have that housing costs overhead and the other bills, or we're going to sell the car and walk. If we're not going to do that, but we're still just going to move everything in one go, the 60 billion that Keenan pointed to would be added to that planned deficit. So the question will be, well, how will the markets respond to that? Right? So we have to think about that, because, I mean, we have, a very celebrated case, Jamaica does. We're seen as almost it's a wild card. Nobody ever saw us being where we are today. So it's actually quite interesting that we're here debating whether or not we should reduce income tax rates or increase thresholds.
In other words, it's a good problem to have. It's a good place to be. And so it's really good that we're having a discussion and that Jamaica can join in and say, why not do both? Some people might be thinking that, why we can't have both worlds? Well, we can, but it's not free. Right? We're going to have to trade off something. Okay. At this point, I want to bring in Ronaldina McLean, but I also want your question answered, Javon Downey. And I should say to my audience, congratulations to Mr. Downey. He's achieved things close. So he'll be heading off to the United Kingdom in less than 2 weeks, essentially. But before we have, can we have his question answered before we bring in Ronaldina McLean? Do you remember his question, Keenan?
How could you remind me? Long-term versus short-term?
Long-term versus short-term benefits of each policy.
Well, one policy, the PNP's policy, is likely to have a bigger impact in the short term, whereas the JLP's policy is likely to be more sustainable in the long term. And that's just simply because that can be looked at in two different ways.
30 seconds.
Do you want to phase it in, but what is the impact? Or do you hope to have such a significant impact in the short term that, it outweighs or offsets the cost of actually doing it right away. So as Dr. Clark said, there are trade-offs to be made, and it really depends on, do you want efficiency, do you want equity, do you want sustainability, or which one of them more do you want?
Okay, so these are legitimate questions that Jamaicans want answered tonight. Clarity on the proposals, and I'm certain that the journalists will be asking some of those questions. I should say as well to our viewers, if you're watching at home right now and you want to participate, if you want to ask a question as well, or share with us some of the issues you want answered, you can send your comments via WhatsApp to 876-833-0897. That's 876-833-0897. Send your WhatsApp comments to that number. You can also respond and interact with our question on Instagram. On our Instagram page, you will see the number right there, and you can also comment on to share the issues that you want to hear answered. In the meantime, I'll have Raymond look up one of the questions that has come in from earlier today, and we'll take that momentarily. But first, Ronaldinho, we're going now to the style, the flair, the delivery of what can be complex economic issues. You've seen me here tonight asking our experts here to put in English the algebra and mathematics that they've been speaking about the policies. What does each party need to do to bring across their point in a simple way that people can understand from your perspective as an expert debater?
Yes. So first of all, I just wanted to say it's phenomenal, the questions, just to hear from ordinary Jamaicans what the questions they have for these policies are. I think they'll probably be exactly the questions that will need to be addressed in some form tonight. What
so
exactly is
our audience members could be the questioners and the journalists there tonight?
Exactly so. Questions like, what's the effect of this? How are we going to pay for it? On what timeline will this be implemented? So I think the debater's job tonight will be not just to simplify the numbers and simplify the proposals, but to also humanize them, connect them to people so people can understand how will they feel the impact of this policy and why is it better than their opponents' policy. So, I mean, lots of these can be analyzed in different ways. I mean, the PNP's policy can be seen, and of course, they've already been framing it as a policy more for the poor, given that, they're taking some set of people completely off the tax rolls. People, the tax threshold is already on its way to 2 million, so people between 2 million and 3.5 eventually. It's up to Jamaicans whether they consider people between 2 million and 3.5 million gross national income to be poor. But they're making the case that their policy is geared more towards the poor. And the JLPs,
as Keenan said, they have the same net effect, generally speaking, over cost.
In terms of the cost, but the PNP's policy will take people between, now it would be 1.8 and 3.5 million if it were implemented today, completely off the tax roll, versus the JLP's policy, which would just reduce the tax rate for everyone who currently pays tax. So I'm saying from the PNP's framing, that's probably going to be the framing they go for. Their policy helping those people who are poor by giving them more money, versus the JLP spreading money more equally, and thus having maybe a more disproportionate impact to those who are well off. And I mean, like I heard Dr. Clark set up, I think the JLP will probably make a case for why lowering that tax rate entirely will stimulate, investment in the country and development and economic growth in that way. So that might very well be the setup we see to kind of humanize the debate a little bit, so it's not just numbers in our head, but how people can feel an impact, and maybe how different sectors of the society can feel seen in the different proposals.
Okay, I do want you to speak a little bit further in terms of the changes that we saw to the economic debate, but we do have a quick break to take, and when we come back, we'll hear more from Ronaldinho McLean of the Jamaican Association for Debating and Empowerment. Second, stay with us here on Lead Story Prime. I'm Giovanni Dennis, reporting from this special edition, looking ahead to the debate on the economy, and we're 15 minutes away. Soon come.
Protecting Jamaica's borders is a key priority for the Jamaica Customs Agency. The JCA will remain vigilant and resolute in effectively fulfilling this mandate. The time, brought to you by the Jamaica Customs Agency, is
8:45.
Every generation brings new hopes and ambitions. For 55 years, Sagicor has been helping Jamaicans to realize their dreams. As we celebrate our past, we look forward to continuing that legacy of trust, providing support and financial solutions for the next generation to succeed. Sagicor, building trust, one generation at a time.
The following is a paid announcement by the Jamaica Labour Party.
You see, before this free healthcare come in, me used to fret, ball. Me go a clinic, can't even go a pharmacy, go get me pill them. Me have to tell them to give me 3 each or quarter. Some of them, they say they can't give me that, them have to give me the full dose. Me used to suffer like a dog. Because me tell you something, my ailment, me get strokes, me have low blood count, me have poor circulation. See me medication, them here? Look, me get for pressure, me get for heart, poor circulation, me get for stomach, and this have for pain. And let me tell you that. You see all of them here when me used to go to pharmacy, they're 15,000. Poor me never have it. Let me tell you that. When me go and beg them to sell me little of this, a dozen or 6. Me could not buy it. And now you know what? You see when me go jad up and me carry this here card here, me get everything. Everything me I tell you, you know. And you know how much me pay for it? All $200. That for sure you say. Enough people out there. I hit make them a survive and I hit make them a live. So please, Jamaica, choose wisely. Put your X beside the bell.
The proceeding was a paid announcement by the...
Ahead of the debate on the economy, I'm Giovanni Dennis. I've been speaking with expert panelists here and the most lovely audience right now. You will not see this anywhere else in Jamaica. The best assembly of people here ahead of the national debate. Now let's go to Raymond Morrison with a question from WhatsApp, and this is one of the issues that people are saying they want to see addressed tonight in the debate. Raymond.
Thanks, Gio. So the first question is from Caroline Smith. Both the PNP's and GLP's manifesto have proposed changes to income tax. The GLP has proposed a gradual reduction in income tax to 15% of annual earnings, and the PNP proposed raising the income tax threshold to 3.5 million. Tell us how each plan will be financed, and when will the implementation phase begin?
Okay, so hopefully that question is asked. I see Corv da Costa itching to say something. What issue do you want to see addressed, Corv da Costa?
For me, I think economic growth is top of mind. How are you going to stimulate growth? We've always been eluding this economic growth, and I think the ideas coming out of the manifestos are great, but how will we stimulate growth? And I think the panel or the debaters who captured that tonight, for me, is going to be the talk of the town.
The team who can say how they will grow the economy. I see a question at the front, Raymond. 2 questions at the front.
Sure.
Next to each other, the gentleman and the lady.
So one of my questions I want to see at the debate talking about is that the affordability of housing. Consider the fact that university students, as they get their degree, they're looking forward to make money and try to get affordable housing. So I want to know how NHT going to be a part of it. I want to know how they're going to finance these things to help university students to get housing and to mitigate brain drain as well.
Okay, so just before we take the other question, I just want to quickly say to our viewers, so at the beginning of the program, we played a report from Amoy, and it was titled Matching Manifestos, the Tax Breaks of Both Parties, essentially looking at what both of them are saying on the issue of the tax breaks. We also will be having tomorrow as well in Sunrise, continuing on the matching manifestos, and we'll be doing this daily for the remainder of the election campaign period up until next week, Wednesday. Tomorrow we'll be speaking about just that issue. Housing. How do the manifestos match up in housing? So tuning to CVM's Sunrise in the morning, and also we will be putting it on our social media pages on Instagram and all the other social media, as well as Lee Story Prime tomorrow. We'll be matching the manifestos here on the same program tonight, a special tomorrow night as well, a special edition looking at how the housing issue stacks up, what the promises that both of them are making, what do they mean, and simplifying them so that you at home can understand, if it is that you don't understand when they finish speaking tonight at the debates. Let's take the next question, Raymond.
I'm Calfa Clark. I'm actually a member of the public sector. I'm working within the public sector. And so a very big interest of mine is efficiency in the public sector, what that looks like. There have been many conversations, about the negotiations that our union have been having. And I want to hear and understand what really is the position of both these sides on how to make the public sector more efficient and how to make our job more worthwhile. Yes.
Okay, so the major issue there as well, public sector wage negotiations in the context of a general election. It's also something it's an interesting point because the Jamaica Teachers Association, for example, has been threatening, in fact, to disrupt the reopening of schools if that 0% offer that has been made in the first year is not rectified and improved. So it will be interesting to see how that is addressed tonight based on that question there that was asked. And it would be unfair for me to put that to my panelists here. They're economists, they're not the parliamentarians who will be running the country. But Ronaldinho, the format of the debate this year has changed. Coming out of the debate in 2020, the Jamaica Debates Commission said that they conducted a post-debate survey. And in short, Jamaicans said the debate on the economy was boring. And so they wanted to make this debate more exciting. And to tell you the truth as well, that's why we've also included a studio audience to ask questions that Jamaicans like you at home are asking. We're trying to break it down and simplify the issues. Do you think this new structure will serve that purpose without dumbing down the issues, Ronaldinho?
I think it can. And I hope it does, because I think part of the reason that people probably saw the previous economic debates as boring is because the emphasis seemed so much on just finance and national finance. And the economy is so much broader, and people have so many issues, not just dealing with fiscal policy, for example. So we heard about opportunities for young people. I'm also interested to hear about energy policy, tourism, agriculture policy that contribute to the economic pie in Jamaica. And even in economic policy, people are anxious to know not just about tax policy, but what, trade policy too. What are you going to do about trade, and what are you going to do in this context of, an ever unstable world around us, and also Donald Trump in the United States now being the president, that affects things too. So I think opening it up.
In what way? Simplify that, because not everybody knows how Donald Trump being president right now and what he's doing affects things too.
Well, one immediate thing regarding trade is that this year he's rolled out lots of increased tariffs on countries across the world, including Jamaica. So
pause. Dr. Clark, tariffs, break it down for my audience. What do we mean when we say Donald Trump has increased tariffs, and how this may affect countries like Jamaica, developing countries like Jamaica? What do we mean by that?
So, in essence, what he's trying to do is to resuscitate his own economic activity, and in doing so, he's putting up barriers for other people's goods to enter the United States. So he has picked a tariff, a tax, basically on when we send goods or other countries, because he has a differentiated kind of list, a rate, they put on a tariff onto that item, in essence increasing the price, the final price to the consumer, and thereby hopefully they will choose to buy the American produced item.
So let's simplify this again. So if Jamaica sends a patty to the United States and it's usually $50 for the patty, and they did not charge a tariff, if with a tariff now of 25%, it will be like what?
Which was a hard number, but yes, about $62.
So $62 now for it. Right. So that's what you mean when you speak about that. Let's take another issue from our audience here. What do you want to see addressed tonight? The gentleman in white.
Good evening. I am Dominic Stewart. What I expect to hear from tonight's debate is how exactly either party intends to increase entrepreneurship in Jamaica and our job availability for Jamaicans and young adults, especially fresh out of university.
Okay, so another important issue. Keenan Faulkner.
Well, over the last couple of years, there actually has been an increase in registration of company names and business names, and it seems like that is the posture of the government to increase entrepreneurship. Like Dr. Clark had said earlier, there are many things that people can do with the sort of dividends that you get from tax reductions and the fiscal policy that has been pursued by the government. One of them is entrepreneurship, but that also has to be complemented by appropriate business development services. You're thinking also of the funding that really is the lifeblood of these entrepreneurial endeavors. So, you might not want to rely on just wage and salaried labor. That doesn't seem to be the posture of the government. They probably want you to be able to create jobs for other people. And you see it reflected also in real estate. So, there's been a boom in commercial real estate as a result of that increase in entrepreneurship.
Jumping in right here and you see a whole Pandora box to open when you mentioned Donald Trump, Ronaldinho McLean. And to speak on that as well, news just coming in right now. The Jamaica Post just shared a press release saying essentially, and the title of it, suspension of parcels and packets to the United States. So Jamaica Post, which is to advise that the last outbound flight to the United States of America for dispatch of parcels and packets, that's essentially letters containing merchandise or anything, or even just letters, by the way, will depart on Thursday, August 28th. And as a result, Tuesday, August 26th will be the final day, that is today, to post parcels and packets to the U.S. at all Jamaica Post locations until further notice. This became necessary because of the issuance of an executive order by the United States which suspends duty-free de minimis treatment for all countries effective August 29. So Jamaica Post received official notice of this change today. And so, yeah, that's the kind of impact that the tariffs are having. So we're going to be taking some live shots right now from the Jamaica Debates Commission. We are just 2 minutes out of the debate. Dr. Clark is sitting here beside me, and she's absolutely stunned at how quickly an hour has gone by. Final comments from everyone on my panel and also my audience. You haven't spoken so far from Lands, Christoph Simpson. What do the parties need to say tonight to win to win the debate tonight?
The most important thing is for the parties to differentiate themselves. A lot of people have it in mind that the parties are the same thing. There's not much ideological difference. Both of them to the private sector as what should really direct the priorities of the economy. You don't really hear the government deciding what sectors should be the strategic sectors.
By the hint of sarcasm in your voice, Christoph, it sounds as if you also think that both parties are the same.
Oh, for certainly. And
let's take another question quickly in 10 seconds from the front that we want to hear. I see the lady right here raising her hand. This lady right beside you, Raymond. Yes?
Right. So I'm just very excited to hear about the agricultural sector. I really do hope to hear about it in the debate. It's a major part of our economic activity, so I'm looking forward to the conversations regarding that sector.
Okay, so we'll be watching the debates together. So we are just about out of time right now. They're counting down, so we're sending you over in just about now. Stick and stay with us after the debate for the post-debate assessment and analysis from my expert panel and my in-studio audience. Until then, I'm Giovanni Dennis sending you over to the studios of CPTC.
Globe, NCB, ARC Manufacturing, Water, JN Group, Lasco Foundation, Pan Jamaica Group, Miss Birdie, H&L Homes, and VM Group. Tonight, we focus on the economy. Our moderator is George Davis.
Welcome to the second of the political debates organized by the Jamaica Debates Commission and staged before a live studio audience. The debates are intended to assist in identifying, clarifying, and understanding the issues being presented in this.
The general elections.
This evening's debate focuses on the economy and is a team debate. Members of the panel of questioners are Andrea Chisholm, TVJ, Al Edwards, Our Today online financial magazine. Taking and presenting questions from the public is our social media editor, Amoy Harriet, CVM TV. I am your moderator, George Davis. As is customary, the audience is not to applaud the debaters, except for now, after we announce each team. For Team JLP, Dana Morris Dixon. For Team PNP, Julian Robinson. For the JLP, Favour Williams. For the PNP, Keisha Anderson. And for the JLP, Chris Tufton. And for the PNP, Peter Bunting. The guidelines for tonight's debates have been previously agreed and are posted on the Debate Commission's website at www.jamaicadebatescommission.com. The guidelines include questions being no longer than 30 seconds and each team being allowed 90 seconds to respond to each question, and rebuttals are limited to 45 seconds. The questions posed in tonight's debate will come from two sources. The first source is you, the public. Send us your questions via direct message on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok to Jamaica Debates. These will be checked, selected, and asked by our social media editor. The second source of questions is from our panel of journalists. Questions are not influenced by the Jamaica Debates Commission in any way. Providing sign language interpretation services this evening is Ms. Jane Litchmore, who teaches sign language at an international level and who previously provided sign language services on the former Jamaica Broadcasting Corporation and Television Jamaica, and who also represented the Jamaica Association for the Deaf. Now, based on a previous coin toss, the first question tonight comes from Andrea Chisholm, and it will be directed to Team PNP.
The PNP has promised to move the income tax threshold to $3.5 million starting April 2026 without any new taxes. How much will it cost? Is the timeline realistic? And which programs will be adjusted to accommodate the increase?
Thank you for that question, Andrew. We are committed to implementing the 3.5 threshold starting April 2026. This will be funded from revenue growth, which currently, based on the 1% growth, is projected to generate an additional revenue of $140 billion over a 3-year period. Additionally, we expect within the envelope that exists in the budget has 4 main components. You have debt servicing, you have salaries and wages, you have the capital budget, and then you have the programmatic budget. As a political party, we would have our own priorities, and we will look at the programmatic budget and make adjustments there. But we will begin implementing the 3.5 million threshold April 2026. However, there are other programs that we have announced that once we assume office, we will immediately, within the envelope that exists for programs, see how we will implement them. For example, ensuring that every needy child gets a hot meal per day. The first in family who goes to university to have a full scholarship. And also the $500,000 grant, which will be given to young first-time owners. So we are going to ensure that we do this in a responsible way fiscally without affecting the budget.
Thank you, Team PNP. Thank you, Team JLP. Your rebuttal.
Lies, lies, lies. It cannot be done without imposing new taxes on the backs of Jamaicans. Your 3.5 is the biggest political scam since the history of Jamaica. It cannot be done. You were the people who said when we introduced the 1.5 that it couldn't be done. It would wreck the budget. How do you get from 1.5 to 3.5? It's 3.5 now, right? It used to be 2.3, 3.2, all over the place. Can't be done.
All right. Andrew would like to use the first of her 2 follow-up questions.
From 14 PNP, I did not hear the cost of the proposed increase in the threshold, nor the programs to be readjusted to accommodate the increase.
The cost of the increase in the threshold would be $55 billion. Now, no political party implements every single thing in 1 year. So we are going to ensure that the implementation is done, which protects the fiscal sacrifices that have been made and will ensure that the adjustments are consistent with the budget. So it's $55 billion that this particular program will cost. And in terms of the readjustment of programs, That is something that we will do once we get into office. When we look, we have priorities which are different from the current government's priorities, and we will make those adjustments within the envelope of $360 billion, which currently exists for programs in the
Thank you,
budgets.
Team PNP. Team JLP, you have a rebuttal, 45 seconds.
But first of all, I think we have to be careful about what we hear from that side, because they have been flip-flopping on the issue of income tax threshold and for some time. Their leader has said one thing, then he said he wasn't sure, then he said he wants to do another thing. The principle of increasing the threshold is something that is desirable. Let us be clear, because we did it. We were the ones who came with 1.5. We're moving now to 2.0. And indeed, we are the only government that have reduced taxes in several ways to benefit the Jamaican people. The challenge is the practicality of their solution. This is a one-week proposal, a proposal to win
Thank you,
votes,
Team JLP.
which can't work.
Thank you, Team JLP. Al, you get the chance to pose the first question of the evening to Team JLP.
Hello, good evening. How do you do? On Sunday, the JLP promised to reduce income tax to 15% over a phased basis if it secures a third term in government. This is estimated to cost the country around $135 billion. Where will the money come from to accomplish this, considering there is a projected to be a $35 billion deficit in the budget, and given that many people work in the underground economy?
I'm not sure where that number came from. Our number, based on the technocrats who did it, put it at between 25 to $30 billion. That's our number. That is doable. We are the party that did the 1.5 in a responsible way. We are the party that moved the threshold from 1.5 to 1.7 to 1.8. Next year it'll be 1.9 and then 2.0. We know how to handle the tax affairs, the revenue affairs of the country, and we are going to move with this in a responsible way over time, ensuring that we continue to give back to Jamaicans. You've seen us do the reverse income tax. You've seen us do a number of initiatives, all with the goal of ensuring that the Jamaican people get back monies in their pockets so that they can provide more for themselves and their families.
This administration has been very much the administration that's pragmatic. We have always said to Jamaica what can be done, and then we have done it. We did it with 1.5, and we're doing it again with 2.0, and also our other proposal in terms of 15% income tax. We never say what we cannot do, unlike
Thank
our
you,
opposition.
Team JLP. Thank you, Team PNP. Your rebuttal, 45 seconds.
I want to remind the country that the 1.5 that they boast about cost the country $31 billion in new taxes implemented by the Jamaica Labour Party. The Minister of Finance is saying her estimate is 25 to 30 billion. She's applying the same Pro Box maths that she said you can use $2,000 a month for buy a Pro Box. The most conservative estimate for their program to reduce the income tax rate is $68 billion. So where do you get your maths from? Tell the country, how will you finance it? Which programs will you cut? Where will the money come from?
Thank you, Team PNP. Social media has a question, Amoy.
Thank you, George. Well, the first social media question tonight comes from Makeda on Instagram. Jamaicans both at home and abroad work tirelessly to support their families and contribute to our economy. Yet high taxes and fees on barrels at the wharf, along with frustrating processes, make it difficult and costly for people sending goods home. If selected to serve, what specific and measurable actions will your party take to reduce these costs and simplify these processes?
Team PNP, 90 seconds.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We note that
we note the developments in the U.S. and other territories as it relates to remittances, and we're observing the situation. We also note that for Jamaicans going to pick up money at agencies, the cost may increase. And that's why we want to encourage the opening of accounts, and with reduced due diligence requirements for these types of accounts, we think more Jamaicans should exercise that option. I think also, though, we want to take a deeper look at the fact that we're so reliant on remittances. At least 20% of our GDP is based on remittances. We need to find a way, in the best interest of Jamaicans, to have them earn more. And that's why Team PNP is looking at options to have our economy grow. We're looking at options in agriculture with the Agricultural Development Fund of $2.5 billion, where we want to teach our farmers smarter and more efficient ways to go about farming. We're looking at options in logistics. Given our position, we're ideally placed to offer logistic and trade facilitation. We also want to look at our BPOs and increase the value of the services that are offered through our BPOs by upskilling our workforce and training our young people in heart, etc., to do these things which are the careers of the future, and not to stick to the careers that now exist.
Team JLP, your 90 seconds, well, your 45, well, your rebuttal.
Thank you very much. I'm not sure if we heard the same question. I heard a question that was about or Jamaicans having to clear barrels at the port. And that has been a concern for some of our Jamaicans who do rely on their families overseas to help them. And we, as a country, have always benefited from our diaspora. And that's why we placed so much emphasis on our diaspora policy through our Ministry of Foreign Affairs. That has been very important. And on that matter, we have focused very much on creating efficiencies at the port. And that's important because we understand that we have a larger vision of Jamaica of becoming a logistics hub. We know that this can happen. It is something that the PNP waxed quite well about, this logistics hub, but did nothing. We have been doing work to expand our port, to also improve efficiencies at the port. In addition to that, we have a new Customs Act. We didn't get to the Senate with it, but we took it through the House, which transforms a lot of the framework for our customs area. And so we are working. We understand the plight of our Jamaicans who depend on these. In terms of remittances, that's another area that's very, very important. And we have been doing a lot of our own lobbying in relation to remittances. We've not seen any fall off. We're very happy with our diaspora, and we'll continue to make it easy for our people to benefit.
Time. Thank you very much. We'll now take a short break and invite you to stay tuned.
The general elections debates are presented by the Jamaica Debates Commission. Watch, listen, decide, vote.
Tomorrow's success will depend on the decisions we make today. At the Scotia Jamaica Foundation, supporting the well-being of our nation is more than a choice. It's a heartfelt promise to the communities we serve. By empowering individuals and organizations, we are revitalizing communities and creating a more sustainable world for every future.
When you want the food shell and make the rice well, just give me me Kendall. Any time of the day, night as well, just give me me Kendall. Everybody can tell this good great smell, just give me Kendall. Number one in flavor, no parallel. About quality, you know we excel. Well it's all Kendel. Give me Kendall.
Another quality product from the Carimed Group.
Just give me Kendall.
At Flow, we understand your rhythm. That's why we're dedicated to building a network as resilient as you. With a team of familiar faces working every day to keep you on beat. You're at the heart of everything we do. And our commitment is to keep your rhythm flowing. No matter what.
Is the Aedes aegypti mosquito that spreads the Zika, chikungunya, and dengue viruses. Search for its breeding sites and destroy them.
A message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
The time by the Ministry of Health and Wellness is 9:15.
We're committed to excellence and quality. Quality products, quality relationships. We're all proud Jamaicans, working hard, doing good, building a sustainable future for all. That same unbeatable spirit runs through us. We are ARC Manufacturing, made of Jamaica.
This is your reminder on how to mark your ballot. Easy and confidential. When you receive your ballot, take a moment to read it carefully. Mark your ballot clearly with an X beside the symbol of the candidate of your choice. Use only the pencil provided. Make sure it is visible. Once you're done, fold the ballot as instructed and return it to the presiding officer. Your vote is your voice. Make your mark, make it count.
If you want $10,000 to spend this summer, what would you spend it on? Something nice? Something unforgettable?
So theme park or all inclusive?
Ask the experts. If I win, you're not gonna see me in the same outfit twice.
Mommy, I got it covered. Tuition, everything, masters, here I come.
Invest in your future and celebrate while you're at it. Promotion ends September 14th. Conditions apply.
Team, we need to pass the ball quicker, much quicker. And you need to make sure it too. I'm the coach. And I'm the assistant coach. No. Your job is to bring the water and keep us hydrated. Matter of fact, where's the water? I've got it, coach.
Tomorrow's success will depend on the decisions we make today. At the Scotia Jamaica Foundation, supporting the well-being of our nation is more than a choice. It's a heartfelt promise to the communities we serve. By empowering individuals and organizations, we are revitalizing communities and creating a more sustainable world for every future.
The general elections debates are presented by the Jamaica Debates Commission in association with Scotiabank for every future, Kendall, the taste of quality, Flow, NCB, ARC Manufacturing, Water, JN Group, Lasco Foundation, Pan Jamaica Group, Miss Birdie, H&L Homes, and VM Group. Watch, listen, decide, vote.
Welcome back to the Economy Debate presented by the Jamaica Debates Commission. We invite you, the public, to send us your questions via direct message on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Send them to Jamaica Debates. Well, we now ask Andrea Chisholm to start this segment with a question for Team JLP.
The public sector wage bill consumes close to 50% of tax revenues. The Independent Fiscal Commission has recommended the reintroduction of a cap on public sector wages as a percentage of GDP. But in March, the Standing Finance Committee of Parliament was told the cap was not being considered. Why was the recommendation ignored?
For the public sector wages, I know when you look back in history, there used to be, it calculated as a percentage of GDP. With our current fiscal rules and our debt to GDP rule, those are the two kind of guardrails that we use on the budget to keep everything in line. If we do that, if we keep that focus on our debt to GDP and on our fiscal balance, then everything in the budget will align, and it would not be necessary, it has not been necessary to keep a cap on the wage bill that way as a percentage of GDP. And as a matter of fact, one time in our history it was done. When you look back, maybe it was only one time that that ratio was ever reached. So there's good faith and confidence in the fiscal balance rules and the debt to GDP in order to help us to keep everything in line in the budget.
Can I also quickly say that this government has done the boldest move to reform and restructure the public sector. First of all, we had 300 different salaries packages, 180 different allowances were consolidated into 16, and it has taken time. We need that time to sort that out.
Jamaica's Jamaica's tax burden at 29% of GDP is the highest in the region. Our middle class has been hollowed out by a generation of belt tightening. It is time that our nurses, our teachers, our police officers, our public servants get to enjoy some of the benefits of years of tight fiscal management. It can't always be that when it comes time for the people to benefit, we are talking about managing fiscal rules, etc. We will observe the fiscal rules, but we believe we must do a social transformation for the people.
Time, thank you very much. Question for Team PNP, Al.
The high interest rates, FinSAC era was devastating for the Jamaican economy. A World Bank debt management paper dated 21/12/2001 reads in part, the ensuing rapid growth of FinSAC debt worsened as interest rates continued to rise, leading to a stock debt of $142 billion as of March 2001. That's about 43% of GDP. This added to an already large pre-crisis public debt burden of more than 100% of GDP, leading to an unsustainable debt path. That period also decimated a generation of local entrepreneurs, so much so that a generation later, many are still reticent to invest in the productive sector. What guarantee can you give under your administration that Jamaica will never see history repeating itself, and how do you intend to honor that guarantee?
Well, what we have to ensure is that the agencies that have responsibility for managing and regulating the financial services sector are actually manned by individuals who are competent and professional. The Bank of Jamaica, the Financial Services Commission. Ensuring the BOJ now is an independent agency that has the responsibility for managing interest rates and primarily inflation. At the time when FinSAC took place, the government intervened to ensure that all depositors got back their money. What we want to see is the FinSAC report published. The country spent $150 million on a FinSAC commission, and all now we can't get the report. We want the FinSAC report out. And while you're at it, we will publish the SSL report, because we noticed that depositors have gotten $2. If them did have $100 and there's only $2 them get back. But the most honorable Prime Minister got all his money out of SSL before it collapsed. That is what justice means. We will publish the SSL report, and it is a failure on their part that after all these years, given the impact of FinSAC, that there is no report, no independent report. What we have seen is drips and drabs being leaked out by that side. So when we talk about FinSAC, let's get all the facts on the table and release the Kroll report from SSL.
Time up.
Interesting that that side can speak as if they're ignorant of FinSAC, when some on that very side were involved during the FinSAC period and benefited. Just recall the 40-40-40. You mentioned it. 40% of GDP to recover from FinSAC. 40,000 businesses lost their money. 40% being offered by merchant banks to make a profit. And DBNG made on average 40% return on their investments, which one of the principals sits across me right here. They cannot talk about fiscal discipline. They cannot talk about management and economy. They presided over the FinSAC era. They drove people in some instances to commit suicide based on news reports. They have no moral authority and certainly no economic management, and they are still there. The Jamaican people cannot trust them.
Thank you, Time. Al, you wanted to use one of your two follow-up questions?
The first one, yes.
Proceed.
The JLP government has presided over macroeconomic stability. Public debt has come from over 140% of GDP in 2013 to 70% in fiscal year 24-25. Unemployment now stands at just 3.3%. According to Statin, as of July this year, Jamaica's annual headline inflation rate stood at 3.3%. The Bank of Jamaica says as of August 12, 2025, Jamaica's gross international reserves stood at US $6.2 billion. The World Bank, the IMF, the rating agencies all commend Jamaica for this economic performance. How will a PNP government build upon and improve this trajectory?
I think it's important to set context for the question that you have asked. When they left office in 2011, the country was on the precipice of economic collapse. When we got in 2012, we had to restore Jamaica's credibility. We had to establish EPOG. We strengthened and enhanced the fiscal rules. We legislated the debt to GDP ratio so that any government, PNP or JLP, had to pay down that debt. Portia Simpson Miller and Peter Phillips started that race. We passed the baton. We are the persons responsible for the fiscal responsibility that exists today, and we will continue that when we get into office again.
Time, thank you. The Team JLP, you have 45 seconds to rebut.
I am so glad that you named all of those improvements that we've had in our economy. When the PNP was in government, they took a wrecking ball to our economy, and that's a fact. When we took office 9 years ago, we saw high unemployment, we saw high debt, we saw high crime too, and we saw failing infrastructure. And this administration got to work, working on all of those areas. The PNP does not know how to be fiscally responsible. And we have seen that in our history time and time again. And so the data is there. The data shows the Jamaica Labour Party knows how to do it.
Time. Let's take a question from social media. Amoy?
Well, George, this question comes from Facebook. Nikisha is asking, many schools are without basic resources, and as such, some schools are asking parents to contribute certain resources, whether it be in cash or kind. Seeing that economically parents are struggling to pay school fees and meet other needs, how will your administration, if elected, resolve this issue so there will be an ease on parents' pockets?
Team JLP.
Thank you for that question, and we definitely understand the burden that a lot of our parents feel. And it is for that reason that we have focused quite a bit on how we can get our children to school. Let me give you some realities from going around to our schools, especially in rural areas. When I go to school on a Friday, classes are sometimes half empty. And when you ask our teachers why, they say money ran out. What keeps them at home? High transportation costs, and also the high cost of lunch. And that's what we have decided to focus on. The rural school bus system is precisely because of that. I had one mother in St. Thomas say to me, it costs her $1,200 a day to send one of her children to school. And that it is so expensive that she ends up having to choose which one goes to school sometimes. We cannot have a country like that. In addition to that, in terms of our meals, we have expanded meals to 5 days a week for those on path who need it the most. In addition to that, we're now going to be adding breakfast to our students in our schools that are the most underperforming. All of that on the backs of the hard work of Minister Williams and the Ministry of Finance team. We understand the costs, and we're working hard, including in providing more books in the public sector so that our parents can have less of a burden.
Time. Team PNP, your 90 seconds.
Chris, you're correct that DBNG was a very successful company. And it was a publicly listed company that our audited financial statements were open to the public. So everyone knows where Peter Bunting and Mark Golding got their wealth from. You and your Prime Minister cannot say the same. Now, in terms of our arrangements for public transportation, particularly rural school transportation, that school bus system was a political gimmick. We cannot be buying new trucks to transport garbage, and we're buying 15-year-old buses to transport our most precious cargo, our children. That was just an opportunity for somebody to eat our food. Let us be clear about that. It was totally unsuitable. In deep rural communities, we cannot afford parallel transportation systems, a school bus and a system for adults. So what we have proposed is a subsidy of 10,000 per month per child for those parents who need it, for those children who are unable to attend school 5 days a week. What we have proposed is a hot meal every day for those children who need it. That is real progress.
I'm surprised too, Peter, that the Minister of Education is speaking as if she didn't know all of this.
Time. Andrea, your question for Team JLP.
The requirement for a 12-year experience in law enforcement was removed from the January 2025 job advertisement for the position of Chief Technical Director of the Financial Investigations Division. Why was the law enforcement requirement removed?
I want to make it clear that on the job description for the head of the FID, there are a number of different qualifications that an applicant could have. There were at least 6 different skill sets that that applicant could have. When the whole process of going through recruiting was done outside of the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service, and they went through a very public recruitment process. The job was advertised, interviewed. No one qualified to be accepted. Normally, in the course of advertising for jobs, if you go out once, if you go out twice, and you see that you're not getting the skill set, the particular skill set, and the job description allows you to be flexible, then obviously, as a responsible HR person looking to fill the position, then you would do that. That is what was done. There's nothing underhanded about it. It was all transparent. And we have a very competent person heading the FID currently, and I look forward to continue working with him.
Team PNP, your rebuttal.
This is not true. I know as a certain fact that senior police officers with investigative experience for many years, who have coordinated international investigations, who have headed the Intelligence Bureau, they applied for the job and they were turned down. The truth of the matter is it was a set hand. Dennis Chung applied for the job when he said he saw nothing wrong with in the Integrity Commission report. There were clear red flags for money laundering, cash from undisclosed depositors deposited to the Prime Minister's personal account, 470 billion flowing through multiple accounts. That's called layering. These were clear red flags.
Thank you very much. Time. Al, your question for Team PNP.
A look at MSMEs. Many people looking to fund a business in Jamaica bemoan the strangulating red tape and lack of access to finance from lending institutions. In the new century, we're seeing the rise of new types of businesses, young people into digital technology, the creative and services sector. Harold Davis of Jamaica Business Development Corporation makes the point that access to finance has 2 sides of the coin, and that it's appropriateness of the financial product that is available. And when I say appropriateness, I speak of the product that is right for the particular industry or the particular stage of business of the entrepreneur. What will you do to address this and better help small businesses in Jamaica?
We wholeheartedly agree. As a matter of fact, as a former CEO of a financial institution in Jamaica, I can say it's a problem that we struggled with in the absence of government having adequate policy and facilities to make it happen. We will, as the next PNP administration, ensure that we revisit the loan processes for our MSMEs. We recognize that they're an important part of the engine of growth for the economy, and we recognize their struggles. We note that we would have to help them with some amount of business planning. We'd have to help them to get themselves ready to borrow. But it's a win-win situation. When they borrow, they are able to grow. When they grow, they're able to contribute to the economy, and we will be able to get tax revenues from them. So it's very important for us to have our MSMEs grow, and to also encourage young entrepreneurs in the economy to participate.
What we are going to do is remove income tax for MSMEs for the first 3 years. Why are we doing this? The reason MSMEs remain informal is because they don't want to pay tax. But remaining informal limits their growth because they can only get money from friends and families and a partner draw. So by removing the income tax for the first 3 years, they can formalize, they can grow, they can access bank, equity funding. That is what we are doing to grow the MSME sector.
Time, thank you. Thank you, Team JLP, your rebuttal.
PNP talks a good talk, but in reality, that's not the facts. 2015, 8,000 companies were registered with the Company Office. 2024, 23,000 companies, twice that number. The fact is, Jamaicans are more energized to form companies, to come out of the informal sector. DBJ, over that 8-year period, loaned almost $70 billion US, 117 billion of investments, 86,000 applicants. That is why our economy has started to turn around. And I want to say to Peter that he must be careful about innuendos, hearsays, and propaganda. First of all, your FinSac era, I don't know how you're comfortable with it. The Contractor General at the time accused you of sweetheart dealings, you and your partners.
Time,
you cannot
thank you. Time,
now
time,
say
thank
that you
time,
earn your money
time,
in a way
Mr.
that is
Tufton,
legitimate and
time,
above board.
Time. Amoy has a question from social media.
This question is from TikTok. The user who sent in this question is Kamer Jackson. Under the current administration, brain drain has become an increasingly pressing issue, negatively impacting our economy. Considering the various causes of this trend, such as limited employment opportunities, inadequate compensation, and governance concerns, what specific strategies and reforms would your government implement to address the key drivers of this problem and ensure the retention of skilled professionals?
Team JLP.
Thank you very much for that question, Cameron Jackson. That area of brain drain has been an issue for a long time. I saw it. I left university in 2001, and most of my classmates left this country because they didn't feel there was an opportunity. And it's for that reason why we focused a lot of our policies, and if you look in our manifesto, there's a huge section for young people, because we believe in a few things. We believe that every young person, as they've told us, wants to own a home one day. And that's why we have allocated 15% of every NHT house built to our young people who are under 35. We're also increasing employment. 280,000 more young people have been brought into the labor force. We're providing jobs, and we're looking for higher paying ones through the work that we're doing in terms of training our people. 500,000 young people have been trained since 2020 at Heart, and we're going to continue doing that.
In addition to that, let me remind Jamaica that it is this government that has brought unemployment to its lowest level ever. In fact, the participation rate in the job market is 68%, the highest it has ever been. Under their watch, people lost jobs. They borrowed and spent, or taxed and spent. Under this government, no new taxes and jobs have been created. This is a more responsible government, and the future of young people are brighter with the JLP.
Thank you. Team PNP, your 90 seconds to answer the question.
Raising the tax threshold to 3.5 million, the tax-free threshold to 3.5 million, is one of the most fundamental and revolutionary things we can do to retain our best and brightest. As I said, this is a manifesto that we've put forward, not just about a campaign for the next election. This is about the next generation. We want to ensure that our teachers, our nurses, our police officers can provide for their families in the way they should. We want to rebuild the working class and the middle class. We want to ensure that buying a house, buying a car, aspiring to improve, to lift your whole generation is not merely a dream. So yes, what we have proposed is radical. It's transformational. It's going to require a shaking up and a reordering of all the priorities of government. That's not accidental. We're working for a social revolution. People are not going to elect a new government to do the same thing that the outgoing one is elected to do.
When I hear them speak, I wonder which young people they're speaking about. When I speak to young people, they tell me they have no hope of owning a home. With the NHT limit being raised to 9 million, the problem is that the houses cost 40 million. There's no hope.
Time, Mrs. Anderson, time. We now take a short break and invite you to stay tuned.
The general elections debates are presented by the Jamaica Debates Commission. Watch, listen, decide, vote.
When you want the food shell and make the rice well, just give me me candle. Anytime of the day, night as well, just give me me candle. Everybody can tell this good great smell, just give me candle. No one in flavor, no parallel, talk about quality, you know we excel. When it's out, K-E-N-D-E-L, give me candle.
Another quality product from the Carimed Group.
Just give me the candle.
Tomorrow's success will depend on the decisions we make today. At the Scotia Jamaica Foundation, supporting the well-being of our nation is more than a choice. It's a heartfelt promise to the communities we serve. By empowering individuals and organizations, we are revitalizing communities and creating a more sustainable world for every future.
At Flow, we understand your rhythm. That's why we're dedicated to building a network as resilient as you. With a team of familiar faces working every day to keep you on beat. You're at the heart of everything we do. And our commitment is to keep your rhythm flowing. No matter what.
We love our country. Like you, we take pride in building Jamaica. The resilience of our people is cemented in our products, built to last for generations. Laying the foundation for thriving communities, we're committed to excellence and quality. Quality products, quality relationships. We're all proud Jamaicans, working hard, doing good, building a sustainable future for all. That same unbeatable spirit runs through us. We are ARC Manufacturing, made of Jamaica.
If you want $10,000 to spend this summer, what would you spend it on? Something nice? Something unforgettable?
So theme park or all inclusive?
Ask the experts.
If I win, you're not gonna see me in the same outfit twice.
Mommy, I got it covered. Tuition, everything, masters, here I come.
Invest in your future and celebrate while you're at it. Promotion ends September 14th. Conditions apply.
Team, we need to pass the ball quicker, much quicker. And you need to make sure too. I'm the coach. And I'm the assistant coach. No. Your job is to bring the water and keep us hydrated. Matter of fact, where's the water? I've got it, coach.
When you want the food shell and make the rice well, just give me me candle. Anytime of the day, night as well, just give me me candle. Everybody can tell this good great smell, just give me candle. No one in flavor, no parallel, talk about quality, you know we excel. When it's out, K-E-N-D-E-L, give me candle.
Another quality product from the Carimed Group.
Just give me the candle.
The general elections debates are presented by the Jamaica Debates Commission in association with Scotiabank for every future. Kendall, the taste of quality. Flow, NCB, ARC Manufacturing, Water, JN Group, Lasco Foundation, Pan Jamaica Group, Miss Birdie, H&L Homes, and VM Group. Watch, listen, decide, vote.
Welcome back to the Economy Debate presented by the Jamaica Debates Commission. We invite you, the public, to send us your questions via direct message on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Send them to Jamaica Debates. We'll now ask Andrea to start this segment with a question for Team PNP.
Described the 0% in year one as an insult to public sector workers. The party says they have looked at the budget and fiscal policy paper and will do better for the public sector workers if elected. What percentage increase would a PNP administration propose?
Well, the first thing I'm going to say, we are going to treat public sector workers with respect and dignity. I won't talk to the JTA president like the Minister of Education and say him performing at his conference. That is disrespect. Disrespect is when you need to get a meeting, you have to get restive and threaten strike action. The fiscal policy paper has, in its first year, 9%. In the second year, 6%. In the third year, 6%. They have offered 0. That is not an offer. We will do better. But by lifting the income tax threshold to 3.5 million, we are easing the pressure. We ease in the pressure on our nurses. We ease in the pressure on our policemen. We ease in the pressure so that more money will be in their pockets. They have a history of dealing with civil servants with disrespect. You right now have 2 sets of civil servants in the same office doing the same thing and earning different salaries. A whole set of anomalies that arose from the public sector compensation review. They haven't addressed it. There's supposed to be a meeting tomorrow with the JCTU and you cancel it. They are the ones who treat them with disrespect. We have a history of working with our public sector in the interest of this country, and we will continue to do so. So when we come into office, it will be better than 0% because there is money in the budget to provide better for public servants.
Team JLP, your rebuttal.
This is a government that has given the public sector the largest wage increase in the history of Jamaica. What did the public sector know under the PNP? Wage freeze after wage freeze after wage freeze. We are committed to continue negotiating with our unions. Negotiation is a process. We still remain at the table. Our Prime Minister has indicated that we will get to a point that is satisfactory for the public sector workers and for Jamaica as a whole. We remain committed to the public sector workers.
Time, Mrs. Williams, time. Thank you. Al, your question to Team JLP.
In fiscal year 2013-14, the then Minister of Finance, Peter Phillips, balanced the budget. Minister Phillips met the targets for the primary surplus and the budget deficit. The JLP said at the time, including you, Minister Williams, that the then PNP government was preoccupied with passing the IMF test and not the people's test. Can it be said of this JLP administration that it is preoccupied with reducing the debt instead of growing the economy and passing the people's test?
We are passing the people's tests. If you look at what we have done, what we have achieved, all that we have achieved, we have done it for the people of Jamaica. Look at roads, look at new jobs created, look at the level of inflation, look at the number of houses that are being built. We are going gangbusters. Every day we wake up, it is to grow the economy. During our administration, we have grown the economy. We have had 33 quarters of growth, interrupted only by COVID and by Hurricane Beryl. We wake up every day to ensure that this economy expands so that there are opportunities for our men and women in the society.
When we speak of the people's test, all these nice economic jargon about GDP and debt to GDP ratio and all of that don't mean anything to the ordinary person, to most of our Jamaicans. What they think about is how is everything that we're doing affecting the quality of their life. We're giving more water. 350,000 more people have water, 280,000 more jobs created. We are improving the quality of life of our people.
Team PNP, your rebuttal.
What I want to ask every Jamaican, is your life better? Can you afford the same things you used to be able to afford? Do you have to choose between paying your utilities, buying food, or buying medication? Is your life better?
The lived reality, notwithstanding the macroeconomic numbers of most Jamaicans, is a struggle to put food on the table. When you go to the supermarket or the corner shop, you pick up things and you have to put it back down. If you suffer the misfortune of going to a hospital, you have to sit down on one chair for 2 or 3 days. And what we have seen at Cornwall Regional, it moved from 1.5 billion to 25 billion. That is the waste that we will eliminate so we can put money back in the hands of the Jamaican
Thank you very
people.
much. Time. Al would like to use this second and final follow-up question. Al.
According to the World Bank, the Jamaican economy average annual growth over the last decade is around 0.8%. Why is this? And what will you do to get it to around 5%?
Thanks for that question. Thanks for that question on growth. There have been many impediments to growth, and we have seen that documented in many places. If you look at the impediments, they include training, and we're doing that, 500,000 trained. Another impediment to growth is the high electricity cost, and we have taken the decision to not continue on that bad JPS contract because we know we need to have lower electricity costs. In addition to that, infrastructure is another impediment to growth, and that's why we've spent so much money on fixing our roads, providing internet access across this country, and improving our investments in technology. We understand that in order to bring the growth rate up, we are going to have to do these things.
You have 45 seconds.
What they haven't spoken about is how corruption has impacted that growth. How our foreign direct investment has moved from 900 million in 2015 to 300 million today. That 11 of them are under investigation for illicit enrichment. I, Julian J. Robinson, can categorically state, I am not under investigation. Can the three of you say that? We need growth. We understand the assignment now. We have consolidated our economy. We have to improve the outcomes in education, which have been poor. You talk about energy. It took you 8 years to put out a request for proposal for renewables. Why? Because of the corruption at the Ministry of Education, where you see 4 ministers over 8 years.
Time. Thank you. Social media, Amoy.
All right, so we're on TikTok, and I'm seeing a question here from Joe. Policies often target low-income earners, while high-income earners are generally believed to be able to manage on their own. What in your plans directly supports middle-income Jamaicans who are caught in the squeeze?
Team PNP.
So, the contrast between the JLP's approach of reducing the income tax rate for everyone versus the PNP's approach of lifting the threshold is a prime example of that. The cabinet ministers and the prime ministers will benefit the most from the reduction in the rate of income tax. Police officers, nurses, doctors, security guards, public servants, those who are at the rank and file of the police level, everyone who earns under 3.5 million will be the major beneficiaries of our program. That is what differentiates our approach from theirs. They talk about prosperity. It's prosperity for them and their cronies. When we talk about putting people at the center of our policies and programs, it's because we want to lift everyone. We want to lift those at the bottom. We want to build out the middle class. We want education to become a bridge from one generation to another to move them to another level in society.
And we will continue to lift the standards of the majority of the Jamaican people. The income tax threshold, we're going to remove tax on overtime so that our security guards, our nurses will get a break and you put more money in their pockets.
Thank you, Mr. Robinson. Team JLP.
The PNP does not understand how the economy works. First of all, they talk about our performance. Our performance we're very proud of. We created the lowest poverty rate in the country on record. We created more jobs with more participation in the economy on record. And while we're doing that, we are building out new industries in digital technology, in our port facilities, for logistics hub, as well as maintaining and building on the traditional industries that are there. Most persons in Jamaica today, young persons who have a skill, can find a job. That was not the case under the People's National Party. And I want to just come back to this issue of corruption, because they seem to think that they can speak about things in mid-air without any evidence, innuendos and suppositions, as if people are going to accept that. What the Jamaican people want is who is going to look after them, who will bring down crime. Peter Bunting depended on divine intervention without work. In fact, he is on record, I believe, as the only Minister of National Security who was unable to secure himself. And I am happy he's okay from that unfortunate incident in Portland. But it speaks to confidence in their policy to reduce crime. This government has reduced crime by the lowest over 30 years. And this is what Jamaicans want. They felt unsafe under the PNP. They feel a lot safer under the Jamaica Labour Party.
Mr. Tufton, thank you. Time. We now take a short break and invite you to stay tuned.
The general elections debates are presented by the Jamaica Debates Commission. Watch, listen, decide, vote.
Tomorrow's success will depend on the decisions we make today. At the Scotia Jamaica Foundation, supporting the well-being of our nation is more than a choice. It's a heartfelt promise to the communities we serve. By empowering individuals and organizations, we are revitalizing communities and creating a more sustainable world for every future.
When you want the food shell and make the rice well, just give me me candle. Anytime of the day, night as well, just give me me candle. Everybody can tell this good great smell, just give me candle. No more flavor, no parallel, half both quality, you know we excel. When it's all K-E-N-D-E-L, give me candle.
Another quality product from the CariMed Group.
Just give me candle.
At Flow, we understand your rhythm. That's why we're dedicated to building a network as resilient as you. With a team of familiar faces working every day to keep you on beat. You're at the heart of everything we do. And our commitment is to keep your rhythm flowing. No matter what.
We love our country. Like you, we take pride in building Jamaica. The resilience of our people is cemented in our products, built to last for generations. Laying the foundation for thriving communities, we're committed to excellence and quality. Quality products, quality relationships. We're all proud Jamaicans, working hard, doing good, building a sustainable future for all. That same unbeatable spirit runs through us. We are ARC Manufacturing, made of Jamaica.
The Jamaica Debates Commission presents the General Elections Debates in association with Scotiabank, Forever Future, Kendall, The Taste of Quality, Flow, NCB, ARC Manufacturing, Water, JN Group, Lasco Foundation, Pan Jamaica Group, Miss Birdie, H&L Homes, and VM Group. See the leaders debate between the two major political parties live August 28th at 9 p.m. It's a political must-see. Don't miss the General Elections Debates presented by the Jamaica Debates Commission. Watch, listen, decide, vote.
If you want $10,000 to spend this summer, what would you spend it on? Something nice? Something unforgettable?
So theme park are all inclusive.
Ask the experts. If I win, you're not gonna see me in the same outfit twice.
Mommy, I got it covered. Tuition,
everything. Masters, here I come.
Invest in your future and celebrate while you're at it. Promotion ends September 14. Conditions apply.
Team, we need to pass the ball quicker, much quicker. And you need to make sure too. I'm the coach. And I'm the assistant coach. No. Your job is to bring the water and keep us hydrated. Matter of fact, where's the water? I've got it, coach.
The general elections debates are presented by the Jamaica Debates Commission in association with Scotiabank. For every future, Kendall, the taste of quality. Flow, NCB, Arc Manufacturing, Water, JN Group, Lasco Foundation, Pan Jamaica Group, Miss Birdie, H&L Homes, and VM Group. Watch, listen, decide, vote. The general
Welcome back to
election.
the economy debate presented by the Jamaica Debates Commission. We invite you, the public, to send us your questions via direct message on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Send them to Jamaica Debates. We now ask Andrea to start the final segment, with a question for Team JLP.
The central bank has cut its policy interest rate from 7% in July 2024 to 5.75% in August 2025. The regulator has been pleading with the banks, the commercial banks, to further reduce lending rates, but it's not happening fast enough. What will your administration do to further pressure banks to cut their lending rates?
So we are seeing interest rates come down, and we're getting early signs that the rates to borrowers is also coming down. Just recently, I was speaking to the DBJ. You know that the DBJ on-lends to the banks to lend to our MSMEs, and DBJ reported that they are seeing lower rates in the marketplace from banks. As the Bank of Jamaica bring rates down, which it will, we fully expect that our borrowers are going to begin to see lower rates in the marketplace on the various loans.
I think that the reforms that are taking place within the banking sector, the independent central bank, which has to drive this issue. That's why we supported the independence of the central bank. And competition, what we have been working on, but I do agree we need to work on it more, and this is for the next administration, is to make it easier for someone to move their account from one bank to the next. We believe ultimately in the market, within reason of course, with a regulatory framework. Not like them who allowed an attempt at liberalization that drove us into FinSA.
Thank you. Team PNP, your rebuttal.
Before the break, Chris had the gall of claiming success with crime. The fact is that more Jamaicans have been murdered under this JLP administration, almost 13,000 murdered in their 2 terms than in any other 2 terms in the history of Jamaica. That is failure, not success. We commend the police for the job they've been doing this year in reducing it, but you can't take credit for that. That's despite your failed SOE policies.
What we will do to ensure that the banking sector is more competitive, we are going to ensure government deposits. There's a system to ensure that all banks participate in government deposits.
Thank you. Al, I invite you to pose a question to Team PNP.
The former CEO of Grace Kennedy, the late Don Webby, consistently called on Jamaica to reduce its food importation bill by half by 2030. Given that Jamaica spends around $1 billion a year on imported food, and according to the FAO, Jamaica's food imports account for approximately 21% of its total merchandise imports, what will your government be doing to reduce the food importation in a meaningful way?
Under the JLP administration, the imported food cost has doubled. It was $800 million 10 years ago. It is now $1.6 billion. that 800 million US dollars, or about 150 billion Jamaican dollars, should be going into the pockets of the farmers of South Manchester, South St. Elizabeth, and farmers all over Jamaica. We have committed to forming an agricultural development fund. This is going to ensure that we inject new technology, new machinery into our farming communities. It's going to ensure that we put adequate post-harvest storage and processing facilities in place to reduce the 30% or more that's lost. We are going to ensure that funding is available for our farmers.
And we commit to the Jamaican people and to the farmers of Jamaica to reduce importation by 25% in our first term. We also commit to helping farmers access financing at more affordable rates and terms. We also commit to helping them with products such as insurance to ensure that when natural disasters hit, the impact to them for recovery is not as high.
Team JLP, your
First of all, there is a need to do more to develop our local industry for self-sufficiency, but also for export. The fact is this government has done a lot. In fact, if you look at the last 8 years on domestic export has gone up by some 31%. What it means is that more local companies within a much friendlier environment are in fact producing and exporting. But it is a fact that we are importing more at the same time. That is simple. We have an economy that affords the capacity to demand more. We have a thriving tourism industry and we have a consumer who is earning more. This will contribute to a greater demand. It's a process, but it's also a sign of success by this government.
Thank you. Time. Andrea, I invite you to pose a question to Team JLP.
Major platforms such as Meta, Google, and TikTok are earning money and data from the Jamaican economy, but they are not paying taxes in Jamaica. What policy changes will your administration pursue to ensure that Jamaica directly collects taxes from these platforms?
So we recognize that those companies that you mentioned are not paying tax to the Jamaican government. We have our tax entities in conversation with these entities to ensure that the Jamaican people get their fair share of taxes from these companies. We sit on some of the international bodies that look at taxes across different countries to ensure that there's fairness in what's being done. And I know that we will pursue it vigorously to ensure that Jamaica is not left out as these companies thrive on our data.
What's important to also note is that a lot of our young people are using these platforms. I know recently I saw someone on TikTok selling some nice products that I thought about buying. So our young people are using these platforms very well and they're creating content that is absolutely amazing. And so we have the tax side that the minister has said that we're looking at in a more multilateral kind of approach, as we tend to do as Jamaicans. But also, there are also other concerns too in relation to artificial intelligence. They're using a lot of our creative energy. They're using our music. They're using our cultural ideas. And those are going into AI programs, and that's something we have to look at.
Thank you. Rebuttal, Team PNP.
It's clear that there's no policy to deal with this. This is where we have to work with our CARICOM states to develop a common policy. Why? Because these are large multinationals. Their GDP would dwarf the entire Caribbean region. And so it requires some consensus among the region to ensure that you implement a policy which every country agrees to and that you can stand the test of time. We recognize the importance of our creatives. That's why we are establishing a $1 billion fund. Not like the film fund that has disbursed zero, but a $1 billion fund for creatives, for artists or singers or potters, the people who create content so they can build their businesses.
Time. Thank you. Social media, Moy.
On social media platform X, Sean from Kingston says, free healthcare means little if hospitals don't have CT machines, x-rays, or even basic supplies. What short-term financial measures will you take within the first 2 years, if you win, to fix these shortages and ensure patients can actually access proper care?
Team PNP, you go first.
You know, I really wanted the Minister of Health to focus on these issues, but him seem more preoccupied with dealing with FinSAC and other people's business. Because if he spent more time dealing with Cornwall Regional, we wouldn't have a $25 billion overrun. If he spent more time dealing with the hospital sector, when people go there, they wouldn't have to sit on a wooden chair for 3 days. And when they have to do an MRI or CT scan, they have to pay $50,000 for go. And the same ambulance for take them have to pay for it too. And them can't get toilet paper in the hospital. Our health sector is failing despite the amount of money we have spent. It is the inefficiency of the Jamaica Labour Party why we are here. We are going to ensure the dignity of Jamaicans who have to traverse our public health system. They have been failed by this administration. And that is why we are committed to ensuring that monies which come into the coffers go for the benefit. So when we look on the drill and we drill down, it shouldn't cost $31 million for a $3 million drill. Because what does that do? When you go to the hospital, you have to pay now based on that wastage, that corruption, and that inefficiency. What can go so, Jamaica? How can you feel comfortable?
There are currently no CT scan or MRI services available at Mandeville Regional Hospital because the private providers have not been paid.
Time, Team JLP.
Well, let me just start by saying I wasn't the one in 2015 who said we had to use garbage bags as aprons or cut a soap in two. That is their spokesperson of health who spoke about the crisis in the system. So we have come a long way, and we started from a very low base. It is incorrect to say we don't have CT scan, just to say to your social media person. We have CT scans, we have MRIs. In fact, we have more digital machines in our health system than any time before. We need more, but we have done better than the PNP up to 2015 when they were there. Oh, I have more time. Let me also say, because I have a lot to say, that we have embarked on the largest expansion of hospital build-out than any other government since independence, the largest upgrading of health centers than any other government since independence. We have hired we have put in our establishment over 3,000 doctors and nurses, double the numbers of community health aides, and last year we served up 3 million prescriptions to Jamaicans on the National Health Fund. In their 2015 year, they did less than 1 million. The facts are that more Jamaicans are being served by our health system. Do we need to do more? I am the first to say yes, which is why we need the next term to complete the work that we are doing. They talk about the issue, they did nothing. As far as corruption is concerned, that's innuendos and talk, no proof of that, and I condemn them for that kind of position.
Time. Thank you. All right, we're at that segment at that point in the debate where we allow the teams to ask a question of the other, yeah? So we're going to start with Team JLP posing a question to Team PNP.
Thank you. It is our considered view that the 3.5 million threshold increase that was recently announced is nothing but a Sam5 political scam. In the beginning it was 2.1, then it became 3, then it disappeared, and then it appeared 1 week before an election. You have to tell the people of Jamaica, I ask you to tell the people of Jamaica, is this just an election scam, or is it that you are going to be cutting much needed services such as NHF, where we spend $19 billion for drugs in hospitals, or university spending, which is $17 billion. Tell us how you plan to really cut discretionary areas, as you have called them.
I answered the question already, but I'm going to answer it again for the Jamaican people. I have said we are going to raise the threshold to $3.5 million. How are we going to do that? We're going to do that because your budget says that $140 billion of additional government revenues will be earned over 3 years. But that is at your 1% growth, which you have no ambition on. We're going to grow the economy by more than that so that we can pay for these things. There's also a benefit when you put more money in the hands of people because they're going to spend it, which will allow the government to collect more on GCT and other indirect taxes. We are the party committed to ensuring that all Jamaicans thrive and not just a few. Our plan is better. It is more equitable. Their plan will benefit the richer people more. Ours will benefit the working people, our nurses, our policemen, the security guards, the civil servants, to put more money to ease the pressure of the cost of living that they have to face. That is our commitment as a party of social justice and equality. So when you talk about Samfire, what Samfire you're talking about? Madness you're talking about? We will deliver on behalf of the Jamaican people. We have a history of protecting our most vulnerable and ensuring that they have more money to spend so that they can protect their families and those around them.
Time. JLP, you have a 45-second rebuttal.
Jamaicans, the 3.5 million threshold is the largest political scam. They cannot tell you how they're going to fund it. They look at the current budget, they see the projections growing to 140 billion, but they don't tell you that expenses are also growing. So that's not available for you to use towards the 3.5. And you also put out an ad showing how much people are going to get on a monthly basis. You know that's a lie. They may get it for 1 month, but it's not going to be there. The 3.5 that you're talking about cannot be done.
Williams, thank you. Time. Team PNP, your turn to pose a question to Team JLP.
How can you be trusted to keep promises when you've broken promises on impeachment legislation, unexplained wealth orders, term limits, grand referenda? You've attacked the Integrity Commission relentlessly. You've undermined them. You have even failed to sign the Code of Conduct, basic principles dealing with integrity, honesty, selflessness, and accountability. How can anybody take your word? How do they know that those candidates who are under investigation for illicit enrichment are not offering themselves out there right now to the public, secretly knowing that they are corrupt? The clock isn't working, by the way.
Oh, the clock isn't. Okay, I'm just going to still go ahead and answer that question. It's a very curious question because I know in the 90s when I became politically aware, I remember politics and scandals. I remember hearing light bulb scandal, fat cat scandal, and then the mother of all scandals, FinSac. When you look in your dictionary and you look for scandal, you see the PNP right there. In terms of the Integrity Commission, it is this administration that implemented it. It is this administration that puts $2 billion annually to it. It is this administration in our manifesto that says we're going to strengthen our corruption prevention mechanisms in this country. It is this administration that has delivered Jamaica's best anti-corruption score. And it's not us that said it. It is an international body, Transparency International. We have been the ones that have been taking Jamaica on the path of anti-corruption, not the PNP.
In addition to that, let me just say very clearly that the Jamaican people are concerned about their lives, their livelihood, their communities, and by extension, Jamaica. They talk, we deliver. We have delivered the lowest unemployment, the lowest poverty, reduced crime despite Peter's objection by over 40%, the lowest in 30 years.
Time.
That is what is important to the people of Jamaica.
Mr. Tufton. Time, thank you. Team PNP, you have a 45-second rebuttal.
It's interesting that they say that people are concerned about their standard of living because they're talking about things that happened in the 90s. That's over 30 years ago. Young people who are listening, does that affect your life now? Yet still, they're not speaking about the scandals that young people, anybody 25 years and younger, would have experienced what happened with rural reading education, to the point that education is behind. We are celebrating as a country five subjects being attained by 19% of our children. That's 1 in every 5. Is your child one of the 5 that is attaining 5 subjects? And if your child is not, what is happening to them? Our standards are too low. What happened to the used car scandal? What happened to Petrojam scandal? And I'm sure there are many others. Come on, man. 30 years ago, we're talking about.
Thank you, Mrs. Anderson. Thank you. Time. Okay. What we're going to do now is this. We're going to invite Team PNP to deliver a closing statement of 2 minutes in length.
Jamaica, the current macroeconomic figures look good, but what is your lived reality? What do you go through every single day? The reality you face is that you are living hand to mouth. You are working, but you can only afford to go to work and come back based on the wages that you earn. You are working poor. 55% of Jamaicans are considered food insecure, which means they cannot afford to eat a proper meal per day. If they go to the hospitals that Chris supposed to build, them can't find toilet paper or a bed. Jamaica, you deserve better. Time come for a better life. The next People's National Party administration will lift the tax threshold to 3.5 million, so we can put more money in the pockets of working Jamaicans. We are going to eliminate the tax on overtime, so that again people can get a break. The same people who are working hard to build our economy. We're going to run a more efficient economy, so that this thing called the Office of Plenty Ministries, that is a bottleneck where nothing can go through and it takes you a year to do something. We're going to eliminate those efficiencies so that we can grow the economy beyond 1%. We are going to ensure that anybody who is the first in their family gets a scholarship, and that means for persons who are currently at university, we're going to ensure that those who are buying a house get the $500,000 deposit. And I want to assure persons who earn over 3.5 million that this tax benefit is for you too. So what are we going to do? We're going to build a Jamaica in which all Jamaicans can feel a part of. So come September 3rd, when you go to the polling station, I want you to think carefully. I want you to use your head and put the X beside the head.
Time. Thank you. May I add that the order of the closing statement was predetermined by a coin toss. Team JLP, your 2 minutes.
My fellow Jamaicans, in 2016, you asked the Jamaica Labour Party, you gave them your vote of confidence to correct the ills within our economy caused by the People's National Party. They served 24 of 27 years and created more debt, more unemployment, more poverty than any other administration. Fast forward to today, 2025, we have the lowest poverty rate, we have the lowest unemployment rate, we have a macroeconomic stable society, we have more companies registering to start their business, we have crime that has been the monster of your business, your personal life, down the lowest in 30 years, all by the policies of this government. We still have some ways to go. Our hospital and health centers have embarked on the largest expansion and build out. They left it as a disaster. We have had to correct it. We ask you, on September 3rd, give the Jamaica Labour Party the opportunity to continue the work. We have done more for you than any other administration, and certainly more than the PNP has ever done. They are now coming with a one-week plan, essentially, to get your vote by claiming 3.5 when they rejected our 1.5 when we started. They don't know how to get us there. We will get you there. We are about protecting yourselves, your families, your communities by doing what is necessary. That is all that matters. Their diversion around innuendos, rumors, targeting persons, and character assassination does not impact you in your community. It is about the water, the road, the health services, and this government has done more. On the 3rd of September, put your X beside the bell, vote for the Jamaica Labour Party.
Thank you. In the good spirit of the debates, we invite Team JLP and Team PNP to meet in the middle and shake hands. You can applaud. All right. That concludes the economy debate between Dana Morris Dixon, Favour Williams, and Christopher Tufton for Team Jamaica Labour Party, and Julian Robinson, Keisha Anderson, and Peter Bunting for Team PNP. Join us again Thursday, August 28, 9 p.m. sharp for the final debate in the 2025 General Election Debate Series, the Leaders Debate, featuring party leaders Dr. Andrew Holness from the JLP and Mark Golding from the PNP. Thanks for joining us. Thanks to our studio audience, our production crew, production and recording partners, and most of all, our viewers and listeners all across the world and